I don't know how you write this up, but you go into the army and you get paid, and you have an expectation, and when you come out, that's all removed from you. People will say, and you hear people saying, yes, we should look after our lads or our lasses or whatever. That's okay until you cause trouble. So the veteran that does turn to drink and causes problems, the veteran that gets aggressive in a pub, suddenly they move from being one of our lads to being an arsehole, and people want to push you out of the way. Right. And perhaps that's where somebody should receive the counselling. Shouldn't have to go and look for the counselling. Should be able to go and receive that support. I think it's there now, but I don't think it's right.
Still hard to get hold of, and it's the waiting lists.
And it's also attitude, because I wouldn't. Right, so I'm training to be a counsellor, and I would never have gone to a counsellor because, and it's probably my own problem, but I would not think somebody would believe what I was being counselled about. I could not go to a counsellor and say, right, this is what's in my head, this is what I'm struggling with, and talk to somebody, because I would think that they wouldn't believe me. And I couldn't describe it to somebody who hadn't been there. Couldn't. That's the reason I'm training as a counsellor. And I receive counselling from another veteran now. And I can talk to him, because I know he's a veteran, because I know he's been there. If I start talking about battle, he knows what I'm talking about. I can't go to an NHS psychotherapist and sit there and say, yeah, well, this is what I saw. Because it's not in me to describe it.
Yeah.
But if I've got another veteran there and I'm talking to him...
You don't need to describe it.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's right, isn't it? Because there's some... Yeah. You're right, brother.
Yeah.
Don't know if that answers your question.
We're digressing a little bit, aren't we, from your
No,
questions
honestly,
that you're asking? Sorry,
keep
mate.
going. Do you think that potentially veterans might prefer to come out of the army and live on the streets because, you know, it's comfortable to them, I guess?
No, I think that's a popular misconception.
Right.
I lived in the field for many years.
You
And
wouldn't
I
choose
can
to
assure
do it.
you would not choose to do it. You do it because you have to. You do it because it's part of your training. I've lived in snow holes. I've slept on tree roots. I've bombed out shoe factories. I've slept here, there and everywhere. Pigsties. I've slept literally in a pigsty in Sedibridge in Wales. You would not choose to do it. No.
Yeah.
No, you would do that in preference to being in danger. So if you had a choice between shop doorway and a rural environment, you would choose the rural environment.
Right.
Only so that you could close your eyes and not have to watch your back. But no, you wouldn't choose. You wouldn't choose to live with 30 people in this room, would you?
No, if you wanted to get away from it and be able to just up sticks and move within 5 minutes, you'd do what Neil and I have both done. You would buy a narrowboat. You would live in a canal. You'd live in a camper van. You'd live in a static or a tourist caravan. And it's very strange that both Neil and I have both bought narrowboats and both lived on narrowboats.
Yeah.
And it is literally that feeling that if my next door neighbour pisses me off that much, I don't have to think, right, how much lime will I need to fill that hole up with before I can put his body in it and fucking bury him. What you've got to do is just undo a rope, jump on the fucking boat and go.
Yeah.
And you take yourself away from a situation that could turn volatile.
Yeah.
And it is a calming influence as well, being on the water, being literally at one with nature. You open your window and you've got a swan looking at you. What are you looking at? Oh, you want some bread now, mate? It's such a calming excuse me, it's such a calming place to be.
Yeah.
And the majority of people live on boats for a reason. They're not all ex-forces and they're not all nut jobs. But they're on boats for reasons, and it's because they can't cope with society in general in the norm, or what is classed as the norm of living in a 2 down with your 2.5 children and your internet and your 72-inch curved television. It's just that's the norm. Then crack on. You want to do that? Not me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, me.
So, I know that you guys try your best at this pub to help accommodate ex-army veterans. Can I ask, what are some of the things that you do to try and support them?
The most obvious is the Vidi clinic. We call it the Vidi clinic. When we grew up, that was venereal disease. So if you caught the clap, you went to the VD clinic to get your bit sorted out. For us, it's the Veterans Darts clinic.
Yeah.
Veterans Darts, self-explanatory. If you're a veteran
Can't play darts.
and if you've got an
Oh
arm,
no,
you
don't even have to be able to play darts.
play.
It's quite evident by the way we lose every week.
Yes, we are bottom of the league. The clinic bit is the important bit. Right, so talk about veterans isolating themselves.
Yeah.
And sticking within their network because that's comfortable. The VD clinic, the clinic bit, is about getting a group of veterans
Yeah.
playing alongside a group of non-veterans and getting them to integrate in an environment that is predominantly non-veteran.
Right.
So you've got somebody there to hold your hand if you need it, but you've got a wider network that you're starting to mix with and pulling them away from just that little incestuous...
Nice isolating themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to help them get out of that, to talk to people and to network outside of their own familiar network.
I mean, you've got what? You've got Dougie, you've got Bobby and Paul, and those three pretty much drank together all the time, yeah?
Yeah, never went anywhere.
Never went anywhere, always drank together as them three and maybe another guy who used to be his ex-forces as well.
In a corner.
Out of the way. Now they're coming in here, they sit at different tables with different people, they talk, and they've come on in. They didn't come in straight away, did they? I'd say 6 months that's took.
Not going to mention names,
Yeah.
but out of the dozen, 4 have attempted suicide in the last 2 years before they came to the VD clinic, and they haven't since. 2 out of the 12 have contemplated it and come and found me beforehand, one last week. And it's issues that relate to their service. So with one of them, came last week, come and found me, dragged him upstairs, sat and just talked.
Excuse me.
And that was around his service issues and serving in Afghanistan. Led to the breakup of his family. And last week, his wife was withdrawing access to his children from him illegally, but she was just doing that out of spite. And he just thought, fuck it, it's not worth it now. I can't put up a fight. I'm going to lose my kids. Life isn't worth living without my kids. Fortunately, he just made a phone call, that cry for help. And I know that he's put a rope. First time the rafter broke, and the second time, can't remember what fucking happened on the second time. One of his kids interrupted him. But yeah. So and that's just a normal guy, early 30s, and the VD clinic helped him.
And I knew him before we took over the pub, and I didn't have any inkling that that's what he had issues with, and I didn't even know he was ex-forces.
Yeah, he comes here now. There's Yeah, there's 12 of us. I would say, I'm trying to find one who hasn't. Every single one of them have had issues, big time issues. Yeah, and if I was to ask any one of them whether they've ever thought about topping themselves, I know every one of them would say yeah. And I would say out of the 12, 9 have received some form of counselling, 7 have received it regularly.
Right.
So that's the main thing we've been doing, isn't it?
Mm.
But we also, what else do we do?
Well, we had our own
Remembrance Sunday?
Remembrance Sunday, which was phenomenal. It was absolute. It was Neil's idea, and I'll be honest with you, when he first mentioned it, I was a little bit taking it away from where you've got the memorial and you've got everybody there. And then when he explained about taking the religion and the politics out of it, it is purely just a remembrance. And I'm not going to say just a remembrance, but it is remembrance that we're celebrating and that we are doing. That's when you had me, when you said, Rob, just take it. Because I was thinking, oh, you can have a padre down there and you can have some arsehole with chains around his neck, and might as well go to the one in the bloody Beeston City in the town centre.
Yeah.
And as soon as he said no religion, no politics, I'm all in now. Because for me, it is a personal thing. For Neil, it's a personal thing. And without a shadow of a doubt, every serving or ex-serving personnel, they all do remembrance in their own way. Some of them will religiously polish their shoes, polish their medals, put their beret on or their cap or whatever, and they will go to a social event. Others will take themselves away to a quiet room and sit and think. Others will go to the pub and get absolutely shit-faced. But they all do it in their own personal way, which is why I was a bit like that when Neil said about doing it. But what a fantastic day. We had a guy from Canada, didn't we?
Mounted policeman.
Mounted police. He was ex-forces, and then he went into mounted police, and then left the mounted police. Now he works on a basis of he does things that the police and the army won't do. So I'm thinking he works for the fucking government for them, to be honest with you, because I was having that conversation. He went, I can't really go into too much detail about what I do now. He said, but I do still work in that area. I was like, okay, say no more. But we called him over, and we had the regular lads coming in, and we thought we were only going to have, 6, 7 people here?
Couldn't shift, could you?
They had at least 25 ex-forces guys in here.
Oh.
And their families.
And the locals.
Do you want to explain what you did with the kids?
I'll tell you first what I don't like about remembrance. Remembrance seems to be, when I see it, it seems to be, and it's only a personal opinion, dignitaries there because they've got to be seen to be there and doing the right thing as they perceive people see it to be the right thing.
Right.
To me, it isn't genuine, it isn't authentic. No, I don't have any.
Do you want a Coke or lemonade?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
So they will stand on some sort of platform, watch people march past and do all that. And it's because it doesn't come across as genuine to me, and I hate it. And what you find, the nearest I got to a decent thing was I did put my berry and my medals on. I went out at Forest to do the ball escort, remembrance.